The truth before my eyes made Ronan laugh. He didn't think Adishan's words were true. He remembered the time she put the pearl in his mouth. It was a singular gem. When he asked what that thing was, Adishan said it was a gem that could turn back time. That's why a former seamstress like her was able to rise to the position of commander-in-chief. However, even though this gem allows her to reverse time 4 times, she had already used it 3 times. And this is the last chance. She gave this chance to Ronan. The one with the power to kill giants. She believes he will be the key factor in preventing the destruction of this world. She said he needed to practice his skills, and was glad that he wanted to do the same. Perhaps she remembered his wish to go to the academy and thought so, but Ronan himself considered it just nonsense. Adishan reminded him that if he wanted to study, he should go to Philion Academy, where there were excellent people, so it would definitely be useful to him. Besides this, she also hoped he could help her. If the two of them could meet again, she hopes he can tell her not to do anything foolish and just be a tailor. She has done many things but has never redone anything to the end. Ronan is extremely confused. He can't believe he can go back to the past, even can't believe he can do it himself. However, when he realizes this is the past, a sense of joy emerges. If he returns for real, just a little more, he can repeat his sister. In a hurry to return, he suddenly stops. Not far away is a group of wicked people. They, however, hang a child upside down in midair. They still look just like they did in the past, in his memories, and he decides to leave. But suddenly he realizes something is not right. The child is not hanging by a rope, but by magic. Such a valuable person is rare on the battlefield, yet here they are in this rural area. At this moment, he sees the magic controller, a person with pink hair. He is extremely frightened to the point of shivering. They plan to continue like this until when? If this continues, something will happen to that hanging child. The hanging kid begs in fear, "Please stop. I really don't have money. My mom's medicine is expensive this month," yet the bully has no intention of letting go. He sneers, "Why should I worry about your mother's health? If you are a filial son, then you should earn more money." That's when he said, and he waved his arm vigorously. Then he continuously slapped the face of the boy. The surrounding crowd had no intention of intervening. They seemed even more excited by this act of violence. The leader suddenly turned and called the teenager performing magic. This guy still doesn't understand. Pull him up onto the tree. Before his suggestion, the teenager kept shaking his head. "I can't do it. If I pull him up higher and accidentally slip my hand, won't you be the one hanging him?" He shut up and quickly pulled him up. "A cell. Before you get hanged together with it." Hearing that, the teenager is scared. He deeply regretted it, even doubting whether he was wrong to learn magic. He just wanted to show everyone that he was good at something. He wanted to stop his evil actions, but he felt very scared. But his reason said, he had to say it. After a moment of mental preparation, he hesitantly said, Please stop." Before he could finish his words, a stick hit him hard in the back. Ronan's attack also caused that magic to be cut off. He scolded, "Stop it, you bastard, kill it now." The bindings on the boy's legs disappeared. He fell backwards to the ground. Seeing that someone dared to interrupt him, the leader was extremely upset. He turned to yell at Asel, "What are you doing?" When he said stop, did you stop? Did you think I was joking with you or something? His aggressive appearance scared Asel and kept backing away. "I didn't mean it." But now Ronan stood in front of him and reassured him, "Asel, don't worry about that trash. And talk to me." Your words surprised the other person. Seeing Ronan standing up to talk to the teenager who blocked his way, the leader was extremely angry. "You bastard, how dare you do that?" Ronan paid no attention to him and continued to ask Asel, "Where did you learn that teleportation magic?" He hesitantly answered, "I learned it in a magic book I bought from a street stall." Ronan was surprised. He didn't expect that from a cheap spell book, he could be so good. He needed to observe more to confirm his talent, but compared to those giants, this ability was still nothing. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a sword being drawn behind him. The leader was extremely angry. Having Ronan ignore him and interrupt his good deeds made him explode. "It seems like since I intentionally lost to you, you've become arrogant. But today I will correct you." After saying that, he picked up his sword and rushed up to attack Ronan. Looking at the sword in his hand made Ronan a bit surprised, because this thing was a real sword, a very difficult weapon to get. His fighting posture is not suitable for this sword, but his strength is quite strong so he can dominate around here. But it was nothing to him. Right after that he easily dodged his sword. The leader couldn't believe it. He didn't expect that Ronan could avoid it so easily. That only Ronan himself understands best. Even though his body is younger, there are still things that are the same as before, things that were attached to his body when he was still a disciplined soldier. That is fighting intuition. Failing to hit Ronan, the leader forced a smile. "It was just a fluke. I intend to make you unable to lift a spoon for the rest of your life. Ronan calmly nodded in response to his words. Is that right? Today I'm really lucky, even though I've been unlucky all my life. He thought he was afraid of him, so he boasted even more. He raised his voice and said, in that case, you kneel down and beg. Then I will spare your life. Of course, you will only have one hand left. Ronan's response was fake fear. He didn't seem to pay attention to what he said until. This guy laughed when he killed you. He will treat your sister very well. When talking about that person, Ronan's emotions suddenly dropped. The leader still didn't notice but laughed even harder. Every time I see her, I think that her butt is really tight. Ronan did not let him continue to say disgusting words. He shook the wooden stick in his hand. This blow caused one of the opponent's ears to be severed. The loose ear fell to the ground. The leader trembled and dropped the sword in his hand. He screamed in pain. His accomplices were all stunned in disbelief. Ronan moved slowly towards him. His figure at this moment is no different from that of death. The blue veins on his face appeared to show anger, and he even had the intention of killing him. The leader's subordinates froze at the image before their eyes. They couldn't believe Ronan would cut off his ear with just a wooden stick. At this time, Ronan also noticed them. He turned to call, "Hey you bastards, it's fun to watch. If you don't want to be like this bastard, then join hands and get out of the cage." As he spoke, he kicked down hard on the person under his feet as if to increase the threat. He did not forget to instruct him to return the money they had just robbed and compensate them for their mental losses. The group obviously obediently complied. They promised to return it. As soon as he received the money, Ronan immediately threw it to the bullied young man, his action surprising him. "You give it all to me, this is more than the money they robbed me." Ronan didn't pay much attention and shook the sword in his hand. "It's okay, I just need it. Don't worry about their revenge or anything, they don't have the guts to hang around here anymore." Hearing that, the young man was happy. He repeatedly bowed his head to thank Ronan. He waved his hand. "Nothing, just go home." Suddenly Estelle hesitantly interrupted their conversation. Both of them looked at him with puzzled eyes. After a long while, Estelle was able to say every word in her heart. "I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't do that. Even if he threatens me. But I'm so scared, so I can't do anything. It's all my fault. I'm truly sorry." The teenager did not blame him, but instead smiled teasingly. "Estelle, you are so crybaby again. When he brought you here. When I saw you I thought. You must be in the same situation as me. So Estelle, don't blame yourself like that. This is not your fault. But I still accept your heart." Then the twist in Estelle's heart was completely resolved. The teenager also took the money and left. Now only Ronan and Estelle were left standing there. He turned his eyes to evaluate the other person. "I can see that he is actually a good person, and his actions just now were forced. As you can see, he's not that bad." Thinking about it, he raised his hand to lightly hit the other person. "Hey, do you remember that I said I had something to discuss with you?" Estelle was startled to remember that there was indeed something like this earlier. Seeing that he had agreed, Ronan immediately promised him to meet again here 4 days later. Estelle had absolutely no idea what his purpose was, nor did he understand why he said 4 more days. As soon as he asked why, he explained, "I have work now, see you later, when the moon rises. Of course, if you don't come, you know the consequences." His threat has indeed worked. Estelle can only agree to listen. His goal was achieved. Ronan immediately left. Before leaving, he did not forget to warn him that if he was late, he would die. Estelle was stunned and looked at his figure. A long while later, Ronan stood in front of his house, confused. With a mixed bouquet of flowers in his hand, he looked like an immature teenager expressing his feelings for the first time. He remembered that she really liked flowers, so every time he saw flowers on the road, he picked them. But now that he has the flowers, he's embarrassed and doesn't dare enter the house. After wondering for a while, he blames himself for doing something stupid and should have thrown them all away. Suddenly someone came out of the house, along with a gentle voice. She wondered who was outside. "So it's you, Ronan. Are you back?" All of Ronan's thoughts at this moment completely stopped. "When I was in the army, I always thought I didn't know what to say when I saw her again, so I apologized for leaving without saying a word or said I missed her very much. I always thought about today's meeting." Yet that was all the disciplined soldier Ronan could utter. The older sister was happy to see him return. Ronan's eyes couldn't leave her. "All I can say right now is, you're home." At the dinner table, Irel's voice kept ringing. She didn't think she could live until that day. Was given flowers by his cold brother. This made her even more excited. Ronan was extremely confused, interspersed with a bit of accomplishment at seeing her so happy. At this time, Irel asked again, "My lovely brother, is this enough to fill me up? Please bring me more stew." Ronan quickly waved his hand and replied, "Thank you, but that's enough. But I have a question to ask. How old are you this year? The question makes Iril angry. Oh my god Ronan, you're 22, but why do you ask that? Ronan could only use the excuse that he suddenly forgot, which immediately made Iril impatient. How could he forget his sister's age? Is your head injured, or do you have a fever? Ronan, while responding to her series of questions, he also estimated that his sister is currently 22 years old. Which means there are 10 more years until those giants arrive. Suddenly there was a warm hand on his forehead. Just because of asking about his age, she thought he had a fever. She was still the same as in Ronan's memories. Someone who is always smiling, and also warm. I hope this moment will last forever. But in 10 more years, to protect this world and Iril, you must train. While Iril still didn't understand his attitude, Ronan said the problem in her heart. I have something to tell you. I plan to join the academy. Iril was extremely surprised by his decision. Then she appeared excited. Say it again, are you telling the truth? Even though it's hard to understand, Ronan still nodded, seeing that made Iril even happier. 7 Every time she mentioned going to the academy, he wouldn't listen, but this time now he proactively mentioned it again. As if afraid that Ronan would change his mind, Iril immediately began preparations. As she packed her things, she said, I knew this day would come. You're very smart, so I'm sure you'll be good at everything you want. Looking at her things thrown everywhere, Ronan said, thank you. After rummaging around for a while, Iril took out a large jar. According to her words, this was a surprise gift she gave him. What was in the jar was the money she had secretly saved. This money is to pay for Ronan's education. The teachers care so much for me. Ronan is extremely touched, but he still has to try to express his feelings. Even though I'm very grateful, I want you to spend this money. This is not enough. Hearing you say that, Iril was startled. For a normal school, this amount of money is completely enough. Besides, this amount of money looks like that, but it's a lot. Ronan could only explain, Royal School, Philion Academy. Iril's confidence slowly receded. Instead there was a sound of surprise.